Welcome to yet another Greedon video here on the channel. I don't think I have a problem. I originally wanted to space things out a little bit more and do some more deck profile videos between the latest support that we just announced and the set 13 guide. But this was really the only time I could post things before the whole 54 card deck change went into play. Which would make adding 4 new cards to this deck segment kind of awkward. So we gotta do it now. I promise you guys this is the last time we talk about the Gangster for a while. Until we figure out how to deal with the upcoming Dark Ninja times. Also, this dub finally got announced after about 2,000 billion years. So I'm just gonna... I don't even remember which ring I was anymore. I don't remember which one Illusion was or which ones I cared about. I need 2 more fingers. Anyways, let's get into it. Set 13 guide time. Take it away, Gamer 2.
Well, I'm gonna drown.
To get started, here's a real quick reminder of the basics. Greedon is a Vanguard that restands by eating up 4 different standing units. And if you do happen to meet the conditions of having a copy in soul, you gain a 7th life. Also, he looks like this guy now. Once he puts on this cool mask, he turns into this giant purple dragon, which does the same thing, except for better. Except a little worse, because now it's restricted once per turn restands, instead of all the old shenanigans used to be able to do with this guy with multiple restands, just pooping out board all the time. The mask build in general is more of a one-trick pony. It's extremely consistent with your ability to tutor out so much board between his skill, his mask skill search for Desire Devil, mask itself searching for more mask pieces, and of course the grade 2 of the ride line that gets a copy of itself. This variant also is turned into more of a guard restrict build using a lot of the 2 guard Battledore effects, just like the Fujo that has another ability, and of course the grade 1 from the ride line. So in total, your ride line itself is extremely plussy. Not only the fact that you are able to draw cards and add cards to your hand, but the fact that you can cycle stuff like this later that basically just turns your whole board on for the turn, which really eats your opponent's hand if you know what time to play them. In general, the core of the deck is going to look something like this, maximizing your Persona rides, running some variation of the Mask and the grade 2 guys, lots of horsies, this cool duck that counts as your grade 2 in the ride line, and of course, multiple copies of the Goatman. Outside of that is where we start talking about the tech room, so let's do that. That's better. Okay then class, now that we got the basics down, let's take a look at Chakrabarty's Last Dance here to see just what it has in store for our favorite alligator dragon. First of all, I want to talk about a brand new card. And when you see this chick, you may think only one of 2 things. Either foot fetish, or that she's the red eyes doggo girl black dragon. I'm gonna go with the second one. Lindalkia is a valuable new card that does 2 different things. The only one that we care about in this build, because the other is a specific effect for Omniguzrio and the Witch deck. Outside of her just being a beater for those 2, she basically has one good effect that works on any single Dark Mask deck. And that is, when placed, if your Vanguard happens to be a mask, you can counterblast 1, check your top 5, and then call something that doesn't share a name with something that's currently on the board. Essentially, it's CB1, check top 5, call a thing. And I guess she does happen to bind triggers, so it does help out with these 2. This is the same with Greedon's power to search cards, and the power to master search cards, and the grade 2's power to search cards, because you're basically, I don't know if you got this yet, you tutor so much in this deck. I think on your first grade 3 ride, I checked about 4. You get 1 off the grade 2, 1 off the mask, 1 off the Greedon itself. That's 3 right there. That's your restand off Greedon right there. And then you play her, you just get a free card. So, literally, a plus engine. CB1 is nothing. And the only downside of her is that she does not have Desire Devil in her name, nor does she have the typing of a Hydreigon card. So, unfortunately, it can't be searched by anything, which means you're going to have to mulligan for it and just hope that you have to be on mask by then. If you do, though, literally the same. We like the dog girl. We like doggos, and I like the Yu-Gi-Oh name that she's named after, so. Let's go back here now for the video. You can hang on top of Vortex. Speaking of mask stuff, though, let's explain real quick the most important thing about the deck, the most important thing about the post-mulligan. You need to make sure that you open a mask and a Greedon mask at all costs, or like get there by turn 3 at all costs. It is ridiculous how much you can brick without seeing them. I know in the past we've been doing multiple Greedons for the build, which we'll get to in a second. Like, I'm only running 1 now, but with all the tutorability that the deck now has with the power of Red Eye and in conjunction with everything else that you already did, you really don't need the extra Greedons for that skill, and because of that, you don't really need to have the Greedon in Soul, because you optimally want to be on Mask on turn 3. So, if you don't have it by turn 3, That's a loss right there. I will guarantee you that from my testing with this build so far, every single one of my losses has been because I have not opened both the Masque and the Greedon Masque in order to get there by turn 3. With that, you pretty much all vanilla deck. You can either try to poke face and just hope that you draw to pieces, or just beat rear guards and count bust deny in case that was working the strat for that particular deck that you play against. Other than that, just cross your fingers, hope and pray that they don't get you 6 damage, because that's the one time that they can actually kill you at 6 damage. Because of that, in this build, I am currently straight up running 4 masks. Like I said, this is one of the most important cards to draw because it does search into the other piece itself and does activate you right into him on turn 3. Another piece you could run, which I've just casually phased out, is of course the grade 2. This is a very good card because it tutors for the mask while making you a tree. However, it does cost a Soul Blast turn 1, and with Greedon Mask's actual ability, you need to have 3 Desire Devils in Soul. You have 3 in your ride line, -1 for the Kendo Search, means that you're going to have 2, which means you will need to open a Desire Devil in order to make this card viable. Otherwise, even if you get there, you're sitting on 2 Desire Devils in Soul, and until you find a way to put a card in Soul, you're basically vanilla. Great card, helps you search, but if you're going to be doing it this way, absolutely 1 bazillion % need to open up a Desire Devil to shove back into your Soul for it. As far as how we're going to be putting cards in Soul, I'm going to dedicate the next segment to this little guy right here. No, not you, Megami. That's when Megami sleeps. Shut up. It's a barb. So Xitto here has a very simple skill. When this goes in the Soul by the effect of your Vanguard, you're able to take a card from your drop zone and shove it back in your Soul. Simple and clean is the way that it'd be, but I'm still only in the middle of Pirate's World, so whatever. This card is actually insane, the fact that it puts cards back in Soul. Of course, like I said, there are things like this. If you do choose to run it that Soul Blast cards, you will have a 3-card threshold for Greedon itself, or just the Soul Blast 2 thing for normal Greedon if you're on him for any reason. This also comes out with a lot of your cards, like the grade 1 from the Ride line, and the card that I'm about to talk about, so let's talk about that card real quick, okay? Burst BFF number 1. This guy. This is the grade 1 had Dragon card, so it is another target that you can search off the mask. Right there. And of course it does make a tree in case you need those. I've found in the past you don't really care about it, but you know, extra 5k power, whatever. If you want to count blast for it, go for it. Important part though is his second skill, which is once per turn you can Soul Blast 2, take a grade 1 or lower from your soul, and call it to the exact same column as him. So right away you can see practical applications for the bird. Basically whatever your Soul Blast for Greedon or whatever you're Soul Blasting for him, you can instantly shove back in Soul with the bird when the bird goes back in Soul. So say for example there was an active Fujo that you Soul Blasted. Guess what you can do this turn? You go Kakaw, Soul Blast 2, get a bird. When Greedon attacks, eat the bird. And guess who comes back from the graveyard? This also helps you recycle other important cards that are in your soul, such as the grade 1 from your ride line, or the, we're not going to talk about until later. But I want to talk about the cute combo with Xitto, because like I said, this guy puts cards in Soul. This card's Soul Blast. Guess what you can do with it? Let's talk about the other new card we got in the set. Piggy. He goes oink oink, and he's a beater for the deck, I don't know. So, what's your name? Mousheen? Mousheen here has one simple effect, and that is when he's in the Soul, on your second or greater attack, which, guess what Greedon does to at least 2 attacks. If you don't have a copy of him that's currently on your field, he comes out of Soul and goes to field, he gets a +5. However, if you do that, he cannot go back to Soul until end of turn. So, sucks from normal Greedon, because obviously that'd be great to just have a dude that comes out of Soul and they can just eat up again for a second reset. But we're basically looking at a secondary attacker in here, guaranteeing at least 3 attacks a turn. Why I said that we like this with the Xitto combo is, like I said, you can be doing Soul Blast 2 to get this guy out. So, with his skill, you get Soul Blast 2 cards, including the pig, to get a Xitto. Eat up the Xitto when you Greedon attacks, this goes back from the drop zone into Soul, and then he'll automatically be in Soul ready to use out for Greedon. Then, of course, he'll be chilling there if your opponent attacks him. Oh no, guess what you're just going to do literally every turn. Basically, as long as you have these 3 best friends, you have an infinite pig, and an infinite bird. Just make sure you protect this guy at all costs. As well, the Shredder is basically only Soul Blast cost for the deck, so you should automatically have the Soul for it as long as you're being careful. Going back to Pig itself, like I said, it guarantees the 3rd attack, which is great because Greedon Masque is a deck that effectively has 4 attacks a turn. However, you can get to 5. Basically, if you have full front row, full back row, you go attack with the front row card first. Greedon, eat the back row, do we say Greedon? You still have the one that you haven't attacked with yet. Then over the card that already attacked, if it doesn't say arrested card, you call the pig out Soul. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 attacks in a turn. Extends you a little bit if you have a Persona Rad turn or a front trigger, which by the way we still run front triggers. This gives you some very powerful attacks, in conjunction with the fact that this is a one-trick pony deck of Guard Restrict. 5 attacks with 2 card guard is 10 cards out of hand, which in short means we're going to be warning more grade 1s of the ride line. And horse. I mean, they both do the same thing. The grade 1 just does it for the full field, this does it for Greedon. Yeah, one-trick Battle is actually insane when you have 5 attacks, that's all I'm going to say. Alright, fine. I'll finally talk about him. It's not even sleeved. That's how bad I feel about this card right now. This SP is not sleeved currently. Not a problem for all my TCG player stuff, of course, though. It's all bindered. Make sure you check out Skyridge Games to help support me on this channel if you like what I do. Or get some Raise Energy. Code Skyridge there too. 15% off on all of your online orders. But yeah, I'm going to finally talk about the card that I refuse to talk about because it's bad for this version of Greedon specifically. In-game. Basically, the boy has two different effects. First of all, when placed, if you Persona Ride, Soul Charge 1. Okay, good if you want Soul. However, that's tied to the Persona Rides. You don't optimize your Persona Rides in this deck. Like, if you hit them, they're good, but it's not what you want to do. You just want to make sure you're on a Greedon at some point. Power in this deck legitimately doesn't matter. I've had games where I won going first just because I opened up Greedon and Masque and you just explode. The extra power is nice, but like as long as you're on Greedon Masque, that's the important part. Then the other skill which I guess everyone cares about running for is that when you go in the soul by a Greedon effect or any effect. Does that speak Greedon? No, just by Vanguard ability, so I guess you can run this Bear Magnus lol. You Counterblast 2. Choose one of your Vanguards. It's +5, +1 drive until end of turn. This is cool in theory. Give your Vanguard drive check. Awesome. Give your Vanguard more power. Awesome. Guess what Greedon already does? He gains power on his own, and he gains power from all of his friends, so the +5 doesn't really matter too much. It might take care of one threshold, but like, really not going to do enough. Extra drive check. Neat. However, you are thinning constantly. I legit have had to take out all my draw effects because you deck out constantly if you're being reckless. By the way, he also does a soul charge that's one card out of the deck. And the extra drive check, you're only going to get once a turn off Greedon Masque because Greedon Masque is a hard once per turn restand. If you're on normal Greedon, sure, go for it. There is BS builds that let you do double, triple restands. Comment down below, give me some likes. We'll do like, we'll say if this video gets 10 likes, I'll do a BS triple restand Greedon build because I do want to mess around with OG again. But it just doesn't fit the deck now, as in this next week when you're watching this video. However, both those problems are solved. Both the only one drive check and -1 card, basically -2 cards that you're getting out of this, both of those are solved by the fact that we're about to get 4 more cards in our deck. So, if you really do want to run them, which apparently every winning Greedon less in the world does, go for it in about a week when we're able to have 4 more cards in your deck. Until then, those 4 slots are easily covered by things like Xitto and extra copies of Goman. If you want to play good, play the bird. If you just want to play like every Greedon player in the world that's strong, there's a frog. But I mean, I guess the frog will be good in about a week, so he's there, I guess. And finally, while we're talking cards to be featured, there's 2 other things I want to mention. First, I'll just briefly show them. I don't care about the Eevee. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Eevee, but Counterblast 1, call top card of deck. That's so bad. So that's kind of a gamble. Like, you could either hit something amazing or you could hit a trigger. Theoretically, it doesn't matter because you can be eating cards, and that's like 2 cards for 1 Counterblast, but there are so many other ways that the deck does it. I'd rather see some from your soul or your drop zone than just call top card of your deck. That's all there is to it. It is an auto effect, so if you call them during the battle phase, you can't do that in Greedon Masque. Normal Greedon. Yes, you have your best friend Muka. We're about to, if you saw my last video, we're about to get another card that lets you call cards out of soul, so maybe you could use that, but never mind, I just reread the top line. It says during main phase. Card is actually bad. Unless you just are desperate for a field and can't find any other way to generate it. Then the card I actually do want to talk about, which it's not as good as it used to be, but in normal Greedon, once again, go for it. And once again, if you do have 4 more cards in deck, go for it. We got the Funny Bunny himself, who has a simple effect, and that is when another rearguard goes in soul, so it doesn't necessarily have to be him. He can just chill on board and see their cards go in soul. You're able to Counterblast 1 and call the card from your hand. Then, if you got 10 cards in soul, you're able to draw a card. Effectively a wash draw if you do have 10 cards in soul because you're able to call a card from hand, then add another card to your hand to replace it. It gives you multi-attack, which is really good. However, like I said, you're already hitting 4 to 5 attacks, so I don't think it's necessary right now. Just, it's a strong possibility that you be running this card, and it's not that bad. Like I said, right now I think our only CB is probably the Foot Fetish Girl. Oh, and the Grand Goman. So, like, you have 2 cards in my current build that I've been testing that basically use 1 CB. If you want to use another card with CB, I would strongly recommend the Rabbit over Incane, unless you actually just really want to have 1 single drive check for CB2. I'm just saying it's a bad use of resources, though. Then the final thing I want to touch back on is the gangster himself, and that is the fact that, like I said, in the style of building, we're only using 1 copy of Greedon, the one in the red line. This does lead to whiffs, like I said. And if you do have more room for it now, which is another thing we have more room for, is possibly more copies of Greedon, you can now whiff less because you have more chances to put a normal Greedon in a soul if you do not have the Greedon Masque, therefore guaranteeing your 7 life again, and of course, more Greedons means more chances to search off Greedon Masque, so even more 2 durability there. It's a free effect. All you have to do is have one just chilling out and you just beat it from soul, drop, or hand, like all the Masque ones do. And it's just a free check top 7, look for a Desire Devil, so solid strat. You can honestly run it as your 4 extra cards. Well then, it appears to be Dark Side O'Clock. This is what happens when I don't script outros. But what do you guys think? How greedy are we looking in set 13? What 4 cards are you going to add to your deck? Are you happy that I'm finally playing Incane? Oh, and comment down below, which reference are we actually doing for Greedon? I mean, Kyoko Hitman Reborn because of the Hitman family. We got, of course, Kamen Rider O's being all the greeds and desires and all that stuff. Or, I literally haven't said JoJo's in a while. Part 5 or whatever. The actual Gangstars. The Gangstar Dragon. Just saying. But with that, I think we're going to finally be taking a little break from Greedon here on the channel, because I need to start cooking for the 54 card deck format. And Chira knew he's coming, like we despise that ninja here. It can literally take away our ability to live at 7 and just kill us straight away. The actual villain of Vanguard. Until next time, I'll catch you with another Darkset video this week, because spoilers on the Thursday stream that's probably about to come out right after this video goes live. They're back! Freaking deck! I'll get more into it in the actual video, but Night Riddles, that's my jam. As always, thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe if you enjoy. Raise the energy. Code SkyRage on TCG Player. You all know the drill. But until next time, always embrace the infinite. I'm gonna sit down. I got way too hype at the end there. Do you guys like that? I don't know if you like that or not. Scoot, 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 scoot. Hello everyone. I guess this is the end of the video, so goodbye everyone.